Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to competitive Overwatch South Africa on this fine Sunday. Because after days and days of strife, it is time to determine who will come out on top on this Sunburst Cup. It's grand finals time. Just some guy here with KK, and we've got an exciting match ahead of us. It's Five Nights at Freddy's taking on the Inglorious Blasters.
Oh my goodness, guys. It has been 2 weekends. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of load shedding, there's been a lot of reshuffling, but we are finally here. We're finally at the finals to see who comes out on top. This is looking to be a very, very exciting, promising game with Five Nights at Freddy's versus Inglorious Blasters. I mean, I don't know whoever tuned in earlier, that was a phenomenal gameplay standing from Inglorious Blasters versus the Salamanders in the previous match. Inglorious Blasters obviously coming out on top, and so we're just excited to get into this and get going. Let's see some gameplay.
Without a doubt. I mean, both teams have been absolutely dominant, two absolute powerhouses. You look at Inglorious Blasters, they've been playing fantastic. I mean, they were undefeated map-wise in the double elimination bracket until they face off against Five Nights at Freddy's in the winner's semis. They did lose that 3-0, but they've cruised through the lower brackets and they were able to make it here all the way to grand finals. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's absolutely dominant. You look at the double elimination bracket, they have only one map loss, and that was against Pink Salamander.
Wow.
So very, very talented teams on both sides. If we're looking at the lineups here, Five Nights at Freddy's, you got Jesper Swag and Ichigo at the damage. You got Stalker at the tank, and to round it out for support, you've got Smiley and Nick. I mean, really, really fantastic teams here. Really, really fantastic players. A lot of skill here. I'm just really excited to see how this plays out.
100%. I mean, we know Stalker has been a part of this community for a while. He's a phenomenal tank player. Their DPS are great. So I'm really, really excited to see what they're going to do. And now looking at Inglorious Blasters, we've got Fluffy on DPS, on Diablo on DPS, so that's slightly different to earlier. And then obviously we've got Zoom on the tank, who was just putting up a stellar performance. And then we have Atsu and Apricornicus, who also played very, very mobile support from the earlier games. But I'm excited to see what they're going to pull out for this series.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at these teams, and they are both extremely familiar with each other. If you're looking at the Inglorious Blasters, I mean, you're looking at Fluffy, formerly on the Five Nights at Freddy's team, and if you're looking at Five Nights at Freddy's, Smiley, or not Smiley, Nick, formerly a member of Inglorious Blasters. I'm again, fully surprised to see what we're gonna have here. Both teams know each other really well. They have a very sordid history, so I'm interested to see how well this shakes out. I am getting news about our first map in this best of 7, an absolute gauntlet as far of endurance here. Map 1, we're gonna be looking at Ilios for our control map.
Yes, really, really excited to see Ilios. Obviously, multiple playstyles can be played. But obviously, IB has been seen to favor the more mobile sort of comps. So I'm interested to see what Five Nights at Freddy's does, because we also know Stalker likes those mobile comps. Both teams going to be looking for those dives, I assume. I mean, they could change it up completely. But we are... Fluffy is, they have made a sub, they've made a switch, so Fluffy is out, and King from earlier, who put a fantastic performance out on the Genji and on other heroes, is going to be playing this first game.
I think a pretty good decision from Inglorious Blasters. Perhaps it might be a technical issue. If it is, we hope that gets sorted out. But, I mean, if you look at it, the one King has been pretty talented all around throughout the tournament, and I'm excited to see, especially in Ilios, where, like you said, very dive-oriented. I'm excited to see how well they're able to thrive on Ilios.
Yes, and I mean, we're going to be placing a lot of value on actually seeing what the DPS can do, because, I mean, we know that tanks are very impactful due to the fact that in Overwatch 2, there is only one tank, but from both of these teams, we have seen that the stellar performances have really been coming out through their DPS lineup and just how they're able to get those picks. And then obviously when you're 4v5, then you go in and then you get those kills, you get the team kills, and then you win that. So I'm very, very excited to see what's happening here.
Bit of pre-game shenanigans in the spawn rooms. We're looking at a couple of changes here. We're looking at Winston for both sides here. Not surprising given the dive comps have been very, very effective here in Season 9. I'm just going right into it. Five Nights just trying to get the advantage here, try to take over the momentum. Jesper's going to get that first pick on Diablo. Zoom in a bit of trouble, has to back up. And Five Nights has taken a lot of room to start out. But you can't get out the One King because they are sitting on that lighthouse, getting ready to get in there. Apri getting that pick on a Smiley. It's a bit of a back and forth here, but Inglorious is a bit of a downside as they don't have a lot of health at their disposal here. So we're gonna see Five Nights take control early here.
Yes, and we see they're still looking for picks. They're still fighting because what's going to happen against these two teams is they're basically just going to be consistently diving one another over and over and over again. And as we see here, Five Nights at Freddy's, even though they were down Smiley, they were able to pull out that team fight win. That was very, very well played. And I think that came from Jesper Swag getting that initial pick on Diablo, and he's already up to 72% of his ult.
Yeah, getting a big advantage early on. Jesper finding 2 in that fight. Stalker, another 2. And Five Nights just going to keep this pressure on, keep the hemorrhaging from Inglorious Blasters as Ichigo gets that pick on Atsu. Very big, especially when they have Pulse Bomb at the ready. They could use it here to try to counter Zwoom, who just went with Primal. They do, and Zwoom getting real low. But if you take a look, the One King trying to get a cheeky retake here for Inglorious Blasters. They do get a bit of percentage here, but ultimately it's not going to pay off as Jesper getting that pick on a Zwoom, and it's going to allow Five Nights to retake here. On Diablo does get that pick on a Jasper, so it's not going to go without a bit of trouble here. On Diablo try to go in with that Pulse Bomb, not able to get a pick, and Five Nights able to pretty comfortably retake that point.
Yes, I don't really know. I mean, Tracer's ult is a bit of a throwaway ult. However, I would have liked to see them just keep that because Five Nights at Freddy's are coming into this fight with 4 ults. So we're going to see how they use that here, coming out with the Kitsune Rush very, very early.
Going to go heavy in this fight, and we're going to see a beat from Inglorious Blasters to counter, and already proving effective as Zwoom now on Diva. Getting that pick up to Jesper Swag. The One King does have that hack going out on it. Going out onto Five Nights. We see them get that one pick onto their Lucio here, and we're seeing finally a bit of a comeback here for the Inglorious Blasters. They might be able to just retake this point here and now, and they probably will. Not without, not if Stalker has anything to say about it, but not much for them as Inglorious Blasters will retake this point.
Yeah, I really, really like the switch from Zoom. I don't think they were expecting it. Having that Diva can just play a little bit more defensive and soak up a lot more pressure that Five Nights at Freddy's is putting out with all of their DPS. Obviously, their entire comp needs to be able to put pressure and get those early kills, so I really like the Diva pick in answer to that.
Oh, absolutely. EMP coming up from the One King as well as Coalescence, but it's not proving effective as Stalker does get that pick on Apri here. Very big start. We see Jesper trying to go with the duplicate onto Lucio. A very interesting decision, but on Diablo finding 2 there, one with the Pulse Bomb, and going on an absolute rampage to allow IB to hold on to this point. On Diablo not allowing any inch of movement from Five Nights here.
That was really, really close. If Jesper had been able to get off that beat, I genuinely think they would have been able to turn that around. But unfortunately, you know, sometimes you duplicate a target and it's just a misclick. I don't think that was his intended target, but it's okay. They're going on to the next fight already.
You do what you can, you have to adapt, and they're seeing how well they have to adapt now as Stalker in a bit of a precarious spot. A lot of pressure coming in from IB. They are in a bit of a rough spot themselves as Self-Destruct comes out from Zwoom. Not going to find anyone, but they are going to be able to remech, get that health back, and be able to get back into that fight. IB now at 90%, almost able to capture Lighthouse here. Five Nights is going to have to mount something to get back into this. Kitsune Rush coming out from Five Nights. It's not going to find any sort of picks here, but it allows them to take that space. So we're going to see Jesper going down here to the One King, and we might be able to see a retake, but a lot of Five Nights is down just because the One King keeps getting those backline picks. We see more go down. Pulse Bomb coming out from IB, not going to get any picks here. And now the Primal from Stalker is going to get at least 2. And it's going to push them back, allow Five Nights to retake this in sort of a desperation situation.
That went absolutely huge from Stalker, and I mean they've switched themselves to the Sombra because they're seeing the value and they've got the pick on Atsu. So I don't know how that's going to fare with IB going into this last fight with their Moira being late.
With that pick on the One King, that's going to cement the round win for Five Nights. And honestly, very, very well played from Five Nights, able to retake that very effectively. But you can't count on Inglorious Blasters because they did get all the way to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. They played really, really well, able to stall as long as possible, get those stagger picks in. But ultimately, you see Jesper getting off that Echo onto Sombra. And I think that really was the difference maker here.
I completely agree. Just having that hack and having that slow come out, I don't think Inglorious Blasters were expecting the match because they were obviously playing against the Echo. And then when Jesper came out with that, he was able to open up with so many picks in order for them to actually clutch out that round. But that's not to minimize that primal from Stalker that absolutely just stalled out the points and allowed for his team to come back. And they were able to band together, focus the same targets, and come up with a round win.
Turned the fight in their favor, but they had to watch out. Their biggest threat this round is going to be the One King on that Sombra. They've shown that they can get those backline picks, so they have to play closer together if they want to succeed in this round. So Five Nights needs to sort of re-examine how they go about this, especially when Atsu gets that first pick on the Stalker.
Oh, that was just very unfortunate. The whole team is going to have to back out, hopefully not stagger any kills. But I think they just stood there for too long. They were posturing. They needed to dive that earlier in order for him to not just take all that HP of damage.
Right, yeah, and we do see Jesper getting that early pick onto Atsu, just sort of a revenge for taking out Stalker there. Stalker gonna get back into the fight, and the space that Five Nights is taking without really getting any significant picks aside from Atsu, very, very massive, allows them to retake here. Very well done from everyone on Five Nights, but Smiley does go down to Swoom.
Yeah, that was incredibly unfortunate. It just flew a little bit close to the D.Va, and the D.Va was able to capitalize off of that mistake on that wall riding Lucio. And so now they flipped the point. They played incredibly well. Didn't really expend anything in order to flip that point. And now we see they were on the Kiriko, and now they've switched back to the Moira because they're just realizing that Kiriko is not providing as much utility as maybe Nick wants it to provide in the Five Nights at Freddy's lineup. Oh, that is a big pick on Diablo.
A very big one to start out. IB already going to lose some ground with that loss. The stick goes out onto Swoom. They're going to have to self-destruct here. Not going to find anything, but again, taking that space allows them to re-mech, re-examine themselves, but they're not going to be able to re-mech if Jesper is going to get that pick. Stalker now on a rampage, finds 3 there, allows Five Nights to retake this point, but IB was able to capture more than 50%, so they were able to stall pretty dang well, given the circumstances. So you have to watch out for the retake here because they do have both support ults at the ready.
Yes, so we need to look here and see how Stalker can make his primal work and if Jesper's actually going to ult, because you see he's being pressured out already and Ichigo is dropping quite low. So they're coming out early with a call and a beat.
All the ults going out, everyone pressing Q. Both Lucio's coming out, Coalescence coming out from IB. Primal, though, from Stalker is going to push everyone back. Gets that pick onto Atsu, who is providing a big threat with that Coalescence. So they're going to try to tear through this backline, see if they can get Swoom isolated for the rest of the team to sort of take out, as they do get demeched here. Stalker finding another now, this time onto Apri. And they're going to allow his Five Nights to sort of hold on to this point, take at least a lead here on Well.
Yeah, that was really well played by them. However, I am kind of worried because Inglorious Blasters is coming in with an EMP, and although they don't have many other ults on the board, that EMP could be fight winning and point winning.
The hack goes out onto Diablo, and the pick right then and there. Pulse Bomb gets eaten though by Swoom, and the EMP from the One King already proving effective as Stalker goes down. IB able to retake pretty quickly. Swoom with that self-destruct might be able to just use it now to stall even longer. I think they are going to wait until they do get demeched though, so pretty good decision to hold on to that, especially when you've just retaken the point. But that fight still going on, lingering a little bit.
Yes, what these teams do not know is quit, and they will continue going and going and going until they eventually have to back out because there's no way of winning a fight. Because one fight can literally one kill can turn an entire fight for either of these teams.
Stalker using the sickle gun, taking out on Diablo. Nothing they can really do even without that recall. We do see Ichigo go down though to Apri. Self-destruct coming out from Swoon. They're able to remech, not going to find any picks. That beat coming out from Apri gonna allow them to get the boop onto Smiley, and they might just take the round here. Five Nights not able to mount any sort of comeback. Too many picks coming out, and IB is gonna make this 1-1 on Ilios.
That was incredibly well played by them. I mean, just the way that they were able to cycle their ults, and even though they were using support ults together, they were able to push their advantage in doing so, and I think they played that incredibly well. That Sombra is honestly proving to be invaluable. Just to have that slow and have that hack. A lot of the teams, it's new Sombra, so they don't really know exactly how to play against it, but Five Nights at Freddy's do, and they're still losing. So I'm really excited to kind of see if they're able to change their playstyle up a little bit. But also, unfortunately, for that last fight, I don't know how it happened, but Nick just went into the well. So Five Nights at Freddy's was actually fighting without a Moira, so that was just a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate from their front, but we're gonna see similar comps here. No real switches from the well, and we're gonna see this first fight coming out. Five Nights trying to push the advantage here. They're gonna try to get as much space as possible so they can take this point first. But I mean, Stalker able to get that first pick on the One King, who's been a massive threat this entire round. We are gonna see Nick go down here because of Zwoom, but Atsu goes down as well. Both Moiras out of the fight, so we're gonna see Ichigo get that one pick, but go down as well. A back and forth brawl going down on Ruins here. The hack going out onto Stalker here, but Smiley's gonna be the one that goes down after that pick, after that boop onto Zwoom. The One King trying to get what they can. They're gonna be able to get out of that with the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, that was incredibly close. I mean, when they all were able to follow up on Stalker's dive and really focused on that one target, then they were able to just move through the team, and that's what got them that fight win initially. But Stalker's dropping very low here, and he's actually going to go down.
Yeah, that health reduction now, Season 9, that DPS passive, proving very deadly, as On Diablo finds two now. Zwoom able to find one more and allows IB to retake here. So that really long fight before anyone was actually able to capture just turns around real quick in IB's favor.
Yes, and now we're going to be looking at Zwoom coming out with his ult and On Diablo, seeing if he can get a pulse bomb that actually sticks. Unfortunately not. But the One King going down really, really early for Inglorious Blasters, so this looks like a Five Nights at Freddy's point win, but I could be wrong.
Ichigo with that pulse bomb, showing them, sort of showing On Diablo this is how you do it. Gets that pick and allows Five Nights to retake here as they get those picks necessary to just sort of retake.
Yeah, and the fight is still going on. My goodness gracious. But they were finally able to flip the point. However, Inglorious Blasters were at least able to stall that out for a little bit. I was expecting Zwoom's ulti to come out there, but evidently he is looking for a couple kills, but Five Nights at Freddy's has 4 ults that he's going to be going into. So I don't see how Inglorious Blasters wins this, because that's a massive EMP.
A massive EMP finding 3 there, as well as the primal coming out from Stalker. I'm not sure if that was really necessary, but to get that pick onto the One King is massive. Now the hack coming out onto Zwoom, they're not going to be able to do anything. The self-destruct going out, I think, just to sort of get away, prevent that stagger from going out. So I think a rather confusing decision, considering they were right in front of spawn, but if it works, it works.
And that is true, and that is a very, very early coalescence on both sides.
EMP coming out from the One King. They do find the pick on the Stalker, as well as that coalescence pick. There allows them to sort of retake the momentum in this fight. They're able to, Five Nights able to stall as long as possible, but ultimately it's going to be retaken by IB.
Yeah, that was well played. I mean, both calls came out really early, but they had an EMP to counter it, and even though they had a beat, the damage that the teams took, unfortunately, just wasn't enough to win them that fight.
On Diablo Pulse at the ready. They could use it to try and take an early advantage in this fight. On Diablo doesn't need it as they get the pick on a Smiley in the back line, but Jesper getting the pick on an Atsu, sort of a back and forth. We're probably going to see a Pulse Bomb possibly come out just to stall even longer. Stalker on an absolute rampage in the back line of IB finds 2 at least. Pulse Bomb coming from Montiablo finds no one, unfortunately, but that self-destruct from Zwoom not gonna find anyone as they go down to Stalker as well. Five Nights able to retake here and take the lead on Ruins.
Yes, this just seems, unfortunately, like a bully the supports, because once your supports go down, especially that Moira, you cannot keep your tank up, because the DPSs, they're able to survive for a lot longer with those changes in Season 9. So it's currently focus the supports, and whichever supports can stay alive longest, that's generally what seems to be winning the fights for them.
A good rule of thumb in Overwatch in general, but especially more prevalent in Season 9. We do see the jump kill onto the One King, but Zwoom gets that pick on a Jesper Man. No Sunburst in this fight. Possibly last fight of the map. Ichigo gets that pick on Diablo, as well as the D-Mech onto Zwoom. Very, very valuable, as Five Nights will probably take this round and win Ilios.
That was incredibly well played by both teams. There is just non-stop action, and if this is how it's starting, I can only imagine how the next couple of games are going to go. It's just going to be crazy. And Stalker with the play of the game.
Of course, they're an absolute menace on that Winston. You can't count him out, especially going in that primal, just slashing in there, getting as many picks as possible, taking up that space, preventing the overtime, preventing that round win from IB. Just very, very well done all around. But that was an absolute back and forth. We weren't able to tell with that first map if there's one team that's going to be absolutely dominant here. And that's what I really like about these grand finals. You have these very, very talented teams. You can't count anyone out just yet.
Absolutely, I completely agree. We both know the caliber of both of these teams is phenomenal. All of the players are doing their part and they're playing phenomenally. So it's going to be somewhat of a clash of the titans in this grand finals series.
Well put. And I am getting word of what Inglorious Blasters have decided for their second map. What else would it be but King's Row?
Yes, King's Row, the loved, the used, the constantly replayed map. I mean, what else in a grand finals? Two teams that are going to be going head-to-head, clashing with both of their incredible aggressive team plays and just the way that their teams are structured. It's going to be an exciting match, so let's see what they come out with. I'm actually interested to see if they do switch it up or if they continue to play the one team slightly more defensive with the Diva, and whether Five Nights at Freddy's sticks with the Winston and just continues that aggressive dive with the Sombra.
I mean, that's very possible. We've seen dive comps be a little stymied on King's Row, especially on that first point, but so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more brawl comps, maybe Ramatra or Sigma. We see those be very, very safe picks going into it. So it's going to be a matter of what they ultimately decide is going to be best to push that point as far as possible, or to prevent the other team from pushing.
Yes, because I mean, Brawl used to be the tried and tested method for this map, but just with how Overwatch 2 has developed, a lot of teams actually lean a lot more heavily into sort of a dive comp, which is very interesting. Because you used to be able to get the May walls off, you used to be able to have those double tanks on Overwatch 1 to block off and just push aggressively. But now the mobility is heavily favored. So, I mean, we can already see Inglorious Blasters look like they're playing some sort of dive with obviously on Diablo on the Widow, who is a phenomenal Widow player, just to see if he can get some picks, and Stalker on the Doomfist.
A very interesting decision. I assume that's what they feel most comfortable with. Diablo trying to get the first pick here. Not going to be able to find it, but does put Smiley in a bit of danger. She's going to have to back up if they want to stay alive and keep this defense going this early on. Zwoom just gonna go in there, try to see if they can find anything. They do find the pick on a Smiley though. Very massive beginning here for IB, and this sort of tracer off in the hotel, not going well for Ichigo as Diablo just ready for everything that comes their way. Zwoom finding another pick onto Jesper, but Stalker can't count them out. They do have that pick onto the One King, but I believe ultimately this point is going to go in the favor of Inglorious Blasters.
Yeah, unfortunately, if they were maybe able to reset a bit earlier, they would have had a recontest. I'm just a little bit confused about the Life Weaver pick. There we go. We see him switching to Moira because I don't feel like the Life Weaver was adding anything to the team comp, unfortunately. So that switch is going to be a lot better. But we see the attempt at a recontest, but Inglorious Blasters ultimately comes up on top with Diablo with a triple kill.
Way to clean it up there as Stalker tried to go with the contest, try to stall as long as possible. Not working out necessarily, and we're going to see Stalker swapping onto that Winston. Makes perfect sense given I wasn't entirely sure how well that Doomfist would work out, and I think Stalker's coming to the realization it's not going to work for King's Row. We just have to go with the tried and tested for Season 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Winston is just a much better pick, unfortunately. The Doomfist, because Inglorious Blasters is playing such a mobile comp, the Doom wants to get in and disrupt, and you're going to get in and disrupt, and then everybody's just going to split. So you're not going to be able to get as much value as you really want to.
Sure, I mean, with high mobility, it's very easy to just get out of those sticky situations that they put you in. Diablo with the pulse bomb, not going to find anyone but Zwoom, able to get that pick on Jesper, and the coalescence coming out from Atsu is going to push Five Nights back quite a bit. No kills from that, but the primal from Zwoom finds Stalker, and Inglorious Blasters will keep this point moving forward. Zwoom finding another now, this time onto Nick, and the onslaught now. Zwoom proving that they can be a very, very effective Winston when necessary.
Yes, unfortunately, Five Nights at Freddy's just didn't have the ult economy because we had that Moira switch, because we had that Monkey switch, and so Inglorious Blasters were able to come out with early ults and take that team fight. But we do see a recontest here, and Ichigo gets that first crucial pick on Diablo.
That early pick, very necessary, as Diablo has been a sort of sneaky DPS here. They've been getting very big picks when they need to, cleaning up that fight, especially at the end of first point. But you can't count anyone out just yet. Ichigo getting that pick into the One King as they were sort of trying to slide out of there. They knew they were in a very rough spot, and it was very a very good play on Ichigo to sort of capitalize on that.
Yes, I completely agree. It was just a full retreat after the first couple picks. I'm glad nobody got staggered there. I am excited to see how the One King and Jesper Swag use their ults, and we're coming up with a really, really early call and a beat to counter that.
Very early beat here, and the Jesper will get the pick on the One King. That railgun absolutely deadly, and now without a beat, Jesper can sort of just use their overclock without having to worry about any sort of counter necessarily. Pulse bomb coming out from Ichigo, not going to find anyone here, but again, taking that space, allowing, forcing sort of Inglorious Blasters to back up here. And with the ults at the ready, it seems kind of even here.
Yes, completely. I mean, you've still got the Tracer Pulse Bomb online, but you've got the two Sojourn ults, so and they ult at the exact same time.
Oh, and the One King.
First pick.
The One King going down immediately, and Jesper finding that pick onto Apri. Very, very massive coalescence coming out from Atsu. Not going to find anyone there, but does get Nick low enough. Diablo does find that pick onto Jasper after going down very early in that fight, forcing Five Nights to back up as they are weakened. Not a lot of utility at their disposal. Zwoom going with that primal finds one, and getting kind of desperate situation here. They will probably capture the second point unless we have Ichigo to contest here.
There is a slight contest, and half of the team is back. They look like they're going in, but they don't look like they're going in. It seems just very, very chaotic all over the place right now. But Inglorious Blasters do indeed cap the points.
With 3 minutes, 20 seconds to go, they're looking pretty comfortable. They have some time to, charge up their ults. They're only going to have one going into this fight with Apri on that sound barrier, which, I mean, could prove very valuable against Nick and their Coalescence. So I'm just interested to see how they play this, because they have the opportunity to charge their ults, play safe, not allow Five Nights to get much ult charge or much opportunity to sort of mount a defense here.
And the call comes out very, very early, and the beat as a response. So it is forcing Inglorious Blasters back. Nobody has dropped yet, so we'll see how this fight continues. Oh, and as I say that...
The commentator's curse, the One King gained that railgun pick onto Nick. Jesper, though, gained that counter. It's sort of a back and forth. Primal coming out from Stalker is going to find at least one, possibly another now onto Apri. They are getting pretty low. They're able to get out just in the nick of time. Stalker, speaking of which, desperately low, able to stay alive because of their supports, able to just back up. But IB is able to move forward even with a few of their players gone.
Yeah, that was very impressive by them, and oh my goodness, Stalker got out with literally 10 HP.
Oh,
and
no. Stalker getting booped. The pulse bomb from Diablo. Not going to find anyone. Zoom, though, getting that pick up of Ichigo allows IB to move forward and fully capture this point. No real contesting coming out from Five Nights in this last push. And now IB will have less than 2 minutes in their time bank after that full cap.
that was very, very clean, precise play from IB. Oh my goodness. Shame, poor Stalker. If I was that monkey, I would be so upset. You just don't look at a Lucio for 2 seconds, and there your tank is out of the fight. And then Five Nights at Freddy's had to try and go in and touch, but IB was able to cap with a very, very nice time bank.
In dominant fashion, they were able to capture that point. Capture A very, very early on, allowed them to sort of have a lot of time left in the bank, allowed them to sort of steamroll, allow that momentum to carry onwards. So I'm very interested to see how Five Nights will be able to respond with their attack. I assume they're going to run something similar here, probably with the Stalker going to run the Monkey. But we do see them go on the Doomfist.
Yeah, I'm wondering what he's thinking, if he feels like he's going to get more value or whether he's just baiting the casters, as we know a lot of South African teams like to do. They just like to poke fun and be like, oh yes, have a whole discussion about it. But yeah, we see Jesper Swag actually on the Sombra. Nope, never mind. See, this is what happens.
Spawn room shenanigans. Never get tired of it.
Completely. But I'm interested to actually see why they decided to go with the Kiriko pick instead of the Moira. I was very confused at the Life Weaver and glad they switched off, but I think that lost them quite a bit of time when they were on defense. So we'll see what they can do with the Doomfist and the Sombra here.
Jesper trying to get some poke damage in. A bit of peppering to see what... if they can get Zoom in a precarious spot. We see Ichigo swapping back onto that trace that we saw be pretty effective. But again, you want to be worried about Diablo because they've been very, very effective on that tracer. And now with Jesper being sighted there, possibly a rough spot for Jesper. They have to teleport out of there just barely in the nick of time. Stalker in a rough spot himself as he's sort of getting triple teamed. Apri getting that pick on the Ichigo as well as Atsu getting that pick. So it's going to force Five Nights back. Stalker getting that pick where they need it though. Just sort of not going down without a fight here.
Yes, I mean, he's still alive, but I'm unfortunately just not seeing. They wanted to look like they wanted to dive from the fountain, but this fight is still continuing as I'm speaking. I would just like to let everybody know that it just doesn't stop with these two teams. But I would really prefer to see the Winston on this attack.
Yeah, a very interesting situation here. They sort of took a ton of space without doing anything, and they're sort of paying for it now as Stalker goes down. Ichigo does get that pick onto Diablo, but the supports here in the hotel having a bit of a rough time as Nick goes down to Apri, and Jesper trying to do what they can, try to save Smiley, but it might not be enough. There, Five Nights able to get one tick on the point before the fight ultimately shuts down here.
Yeah, that was just very unfortunate. They all got caught in a tiny little room, and yeah, IB have a large amount of ults. They almost have 5 ults going to be going into this fight, but the same for Five Nights at Freddy's. So it's how many ults are they going to invest, and will that help them win this fight? That is a very early pulse bomb, and it doesn't get anything, unfortunately, from Diablo.
Yeah, an excellent jump there from Apri. Just sort of dodged that pulse bomb. Kitsune Rush coming out from Nick, not finding anything, having to pay the ultimate price there. Zoom finding another now with Primal. Ichigo getting the picks that they need to, and they have Meteor Strike at the ready if they need to use it, and they are going to go for it. Not going to find any picks here, but Ichigo finding another before going down to on Diablo. And ultimately, this fight is going to go in the favor of IB, despite the fact that Stalker has been getting quite a few picks with this Doomfist. I expect him to swap off onto the Monkey now that there's less than a minute 20 to go.
Yeah, there we see the switch off, and we also see Jesper switching to the Reaper because they've realized that the Monkey just diving into the middle of the team is creating an immense amount of space. Auntie dropping there, and the One King ulting very, very early for this recontest, so they haven't actually capped yet.
They get the one pick on the Smiley, which could turn the fight here, but Jesper able to find that pick on the Zwoom. Stalker taking out the One King, and this defense might not be enough. They committed of the One King's overclock there, and it just wasn't enough there.
No, I really like the change to the Reaper to just be able to help that frontline pressure. When Stalker goes in, you know you're going to have those shotguns at your back, and anybody who is in front of you is just going to melt. So we see Zwoom actually switching off immediately onto the Diva because he realizes that this Reaper is going to be an issue if he continues to play Monkey.
An absolute menace. I think a very good decision here from Zwoom just to adapt quickly. They realize this Winston's probably not going to have as much impact immediately as Diva would. So that swap, I think, very, very effective. Proves that IB is able to think on the fly here. And the Pulse Bomb now ready for Ichigo. Not able to get anything yet as Diablo has proven a bit of a menace on this Tracer.
And that is a very, very nice Kitsune rush for them to just be able to be very, very aggressive with Five Nights at Freddy's. Nobody has gone down yet, which is very, very well played from Inglorious Blasters to actually negate that Kitsune's rush. But as I say that, Apricornicus gets Pulse Bomb.
Commentators curse on Diablo, not able to find anything with their Pulse Bomb, but Ichigo finds Apri with theirs and allows them to just sort of push forward. Now we have Jesper with their Death Blossom at the ready. Probably not going to use it just yet, just waiting to finally capture that Stalker though. Gonna go with that Primal just to absolutely tear through this backline. We're gonna see Zoom getting demech'd by Ichigo here, and Zoom falling off, I assume just to avoid any further stagger there as Five Nights captures that second point.
Yeah, with a decent time back as well, they can definitely make this even if they continue their pressure. But we need to see how Jesper Swag is actually going to use this ult, whether they can get Zoom to use up the DM, because Zoom is a very intelligent player and is going to be looking out for that Reaper to soak up that pressure.
Yeah, not easily fooled. They are using a bit of DM early on in the fight, but I think they're going to be able to recharge it in time. Allow Jesper to sort of get in here, maybe get some picks, big necessary picks. They do have on Diablo with that Pulse Bomb at the ready if they need it here to sort of counter Jesper with the Death Blossom. Might not need it though, as they get the pick onto Atsu, and the beat coming out from Apri, not able to save Atsu in time. Self-destruct coming out from Zwoom, not going to find any picks, but it is going to take that space back. Allows them to sort of capitalize on this. And Jesper just sort of dealing with the spawn room, finding two there with on Atsu and the One King, forcing IB to be in a very precarious spot. Already down two, sort of spawn camping there. On Diablo does get that pick on a Stalker before not going down just yet. Before Ichigo gets them to the spawn room. 3 spawn room kills this fight.
Oh my goodness, Jesper said, you know what, you're playing Diva, I don't care, I will be in your spawn ulting. Oh, but we see Atsu gets a very big pick onto the opposite Kiriko.
Atsu with that Coalescence, able to counter that Kitsune rush that was coming in. They're able to get another pick on a Smiley and force Five Nights back quite a bit. Stalker getting another environmental as they go down here. It looked like to Apri, but I think they jumped right after, so I think that's what made it count as a self-destruct there.
Yeah, and we see Zoom here has switched to the ball. A very, very nice pick for him. He is very comfortable on this hero. And obviously, as it was to stall, he's sticking on it. He's almost got mines. So we'll see what he can do in this fight to just disrupt. And unfortunately, Nick goes down very early.
Both pulse bombs coming out. 2 pulse bombs, 2 sticks, and that's back and forth here. On Diablo does go down to Jesper, and it is a 3v4 as we go into this. Primal is at the ready for Stalker if they want to use it here, but the contest Inglorious does have the opportunity to contest here, almost with mines from Zwoom. They could provide some pretty heavy resistance going into this final stretch, but Jesper able to shut that down before it starts. Zwoom going down, Primal coming out from Stalker, does find the pick on the Atsu, and it's just going to force everyone back. Beat coming out now from Smiley. The Death Blossom just to keep everyone back and allow Jesper to get 3 there and allows Five Nights to fully capture with quite a bit of time left, or a decent amount of time left on the clock.
Yes, at least they were able to cap the time left. But yes, very, very well played. I really like the adaptation from Five Nights at Freddy's, just to realize and understand that Zwoom was making a lot of the plays and he was creating a lot of space. And so Jesper was like, this is how we're going to deal with it. And he proved that it was very, very effective in just getting them through point 3 and able to cap that. Even though it's a minute remaining, we've seen a lot of teams do a lot with the small amount of time. So we'll see what they're able to do with this.
Absolutely. I expect Five Nights to stay on a very similar comp. Probably not going to go with that Doomfist that we saw earlier. Just hasn't been pretty effective either on Elias or King's Row, as we've seen. But Jesper gonna elect to go with that Reaper to start out, and I think that's a pretty good pick. Ultimately, we do see Zwoom not going with the Monkey, instead going with D.Va, so it might prove a bit of an interesting clash up there.
Yeah, I think both teams were both aware. They were like, okay, so this person made this switch, so if they're going to keep on this switch, I'm going to keep on this. And we actually see Stalker. Is Stalker going to come out on a D.Va? Oh my goodness.
Very possible.
That is very, very interesting. No,
he's
coming out on the D.Va. That is very interesting. I'm interested to see how they actually play around their D.Va, because I haven't seen much of their gameplay around it, because obviously it isn't as aggressive, but Antiablo almost going down there.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of D.Va on from Stalker, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do this, but I think ultimately they're just going to try to go in that back line, try to take as much space as possible, capture that point early, and Ichigo just start peppering in this damage just to keep Atsu at bay. Zwoom, though, able to get that first pick on the Smiley. A very big death knell here for the push of Five Nights. Jesper able to get that pick on the Zwoom, though. Going to be massive for them. They do have 1.5 point, half ticks here on first point here. Less than 10 seconds after he gets that pick on a Jesper, and it's going to force Five Nights back. They've got 3 seconds left. I don't know if they're going to have any chance to touch point, and they won't.
Oh, that was just really unfortunate. Losing Smiley and then immediately losing Nick afterwards, you just can't sustain your D.Va. And even though Jesper was able to get Zwoom out of mech and able to kill that D.Va, the Inglorious Blasters just had their support. And so they were able to sustain that fight much longer, able to clean it up. And so we have a 47% cap. And then if Inglorious Blasters are able to do that, then they take this map.
Yes, they do have... Inglorious Blasters does have 2.5 minutes on the clock. They've got they're sitting pretty comfortable, I think, but they can't count out Five Nights just yet. Stalker choosing to go with that Doomfist, which again I'm so confused because it just hasn't been working out so far. If perhaps they think it's going to work out now.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether it's to counter out the possible D.Va, to actually get some stuns on the D.Va Matrix if they think that they're going to come out on a D.Va. Oh, no, it's actually a switch onto a Ramatra and a Mei. So a lot more brawly style that you were talking about earlier. I mean, basically this entire map has just been dive central. So it's going to be... I'm actually wondering how this is going to fare with Zwoom on the D.Va and then playing a bit more of a bunkered style brawl that we're so used to seeing in the past in King's Row.
Sure, I mean, Jesper on that Mei is going to be an interesting counter to Zwoom. Just the defense matrix not going to be able to do anything. And we're already seeing that it's going to be pretty effective here, even with the early D-Mech. Smiley going to get that pick onto D.Va. But Jesper does go down on Diablo. We said it before, we'll say it again. On Diablo, on that Tracer, an absolute menace so far. Stalker, though, getting that pick onto the One King. They're going to have to back up if they want to stay alive. We see Zoom swapping onto the Doomfist, getting that pick on a Stalker. They find another onto Nick, and they might just take it here and now. IB might just take Kings Road now, and they probably will without any sort of chance to contest here. Smiley's going to do what they can, but she can't ultimately hold off the dominance of IB on this push. Now Stalker on the Doomfist. They now have a reason just to recontest here, and they are just a few percentage points away. On Diablo, getting that pulse bomb on a Stalker allows Inglorious Blasters to take Kings Row and bring the set to 1-1.
That was just so unfortunate from Stalker. If he had stayed alive there, they were holding that so well. You could see Inglorious Blasters were just not ready for that more brawly styled playstyle to come out, as they just immediately popped. But they did have the respawns, and because Stalker died, then Zoom was able to be like, you know what? I'm gonna try out the Doom. Let's see how it fares for me. He gets 2 kills. They're able to clean up the fight, and it is officially 1-1. What a matchup this is turning out to be.
Yeah, a very interesting grand finals here. Finally seeing Five Nights bleed a bit. Like I said earlier, they only had 1 map loss in the double elimination bracket going into grand finals. So to see this absolute dominance and then to lose 1 map to IB, who they 3-0'd in winter semis, it's going to be very interesting to see how well this shakes out as we go through the rounds. Because, like I said, this is a best of 7. It's going to be an absolute endurance match for these teams.
Absolutely. And I mean, anybody who has been in a team, played in a competitive setting, understands the more that you play your opponents, the more you understand their play style, how they are going to play, how they're going to engage, what switches they're going to make. And because of that, I feel like this is just going to be close the whole way through, because these teams have now played each other a couple times, and you can see they've completely started sussing each other out in how each other plays. And we are going to Circuit Royale.
Five Nights picking Circuit Royale. I think a very interesting pick. It definitely shuts down the dive options. It sort of forces these poke comps. We're going to probably see a bit of Sig, maybe even Ramatra going into this, but I'm interested to see how the hit scans from either team is going to thrive here. Ichigo from Five Nights is their dedicated hit scan, so I'll be interested to see how well they thrive here. And then meanwhile on Inglorious Blasters, they're marking no one in particular as their dedicated hit scan, but I would assume that would be say Fluffy on that hit scan character.
Okay. So Inglorious Blasters have chosen to attack. So it's going to be very interesting. I completely agree with you with the hit scan players. I mean, we know this is more of a long sideline map. We see a lot of snipers, especially with the projectile size changes. We might even see some Hanzo, we might see some Widow, and seeing how teams basically play around getting picks and whether they're able to be aggressive enough to capitalize off of that, and if they're able to take space, or whether the teams are just going to be trading picks the entire time, the whole map through. And I feel like that's probably more of an accurate description of how this game is going to go.
Given how close the first 2 maps were, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see Ash this map, who has been very, very dominant going into Season 9. Like I said, the projectile size change has been a massive, massive boon for Ash players. And not to mention the Dynamite, just to get that free 20% heal reduction, just without even having to land any shots. That's a massive, massive blessing for any defense, or heck, even any offense, just to provide a sort of resistance, a bit of pressure on the other team.
Yes, completely. I mean, you just throw that dynamite in there, and then your supports have to go crazy to keep your team up, because with any sort of spam comp, you know that good teams are going to be taking multiple angles. They're going to be shooting at you from multiple angles. So it's going to also be on the supports to be able to keep people up and just call out those positions. So that's going to be very, very exciting. I am actually wondering if they're going to be holding close or if they're going to be holding bridge. Because generally what teams would like to do is, especially if they have a Sigma, sometimes they like to hold close to actually give their DPS more time to take space. But on Five Nights at Freddy's, we know that they also like to play an Echo. So I'm wondering how the Flyer could possibly come into play there, or whether they're actually going to give enough respect to Inglorious Blasters, like, for example, on Diablo on the Widow, and whether they're going to say, actually, no, this is not an option.
I think Five Nights ultimately is going to have to respect the duel here. I don't think they pick any Flyers just because that's going to get shut down immediately by any sort of long-range hit scan. I think, given how close both maps were, I think they do have to respect it. I think Five Nights starting out on that defense, gonna have to play that bunker, gonna have to play on that bridge, get that high ground, just allow the Inglorious Blasters to present themselves.
Yes, and I'm also, as a Zen fan, I'm hoping that we get to see some Zen, because we get to see some Zen sometimes in spam comms. So I'm hoping that we get to see some Zen, see how that Discord orb is impactful. And Fluffy is going to be coming in for Apricornicus.
Yes, I believe a technical issue.
Just a little update, yes.
Yeah, I believe a technical issue from Inglorious Blasters. A bit unfortunate, but hey, it is what it is, and you gotta keep rolling with the punches. Again, like I said, best of 7, it's an endurance match. You have to have your subs at the ready to be able to get in there and just wreck house when they need to.
Yes, 100%. And I mean, if we know Apricornicus and we know Fluffy, they do have a very, very similar hero pool. So I think Fluffy could definitely fill in that spot where Apricornicus was just unfortunately not able to play this match. But I'm excited to see what Fluffy can do. And we see some Zen! Yes, let's go!
Hey, we're seeing a full mirror comp here. I mean,
yes.
No surprise given Circuit Royale being, like we said, a very poke-heavy map. So seeing these sort of spam characters from long range, no shock at all. Even after the hotfix to Zen, who was absolutely a menace that first week of Season 9, they're still a force to be reckoned with. I believe Kick, if discorded, still does like 70 damage.
Yeah, I might be wrong. I think it does 60 now, but it is still, to be kicked by a Zen to do 60 damage is a bit ridiculous. But Diablo gets the first pick onto that Zen, who provides so much with that Discord orb.
I believe a bit of a miscommunication. Diablo finds another on the Jesper swipe before getting taken out by Ichigo. A beautiful snipe there from Diablo. I mean, you have to watch out for them. Thankfully, you had Ichigo there to counter that, but man, what a way to start that fight.
Yeah, that was absolutely phenomenal from him, really showing his Widow prowess, and so Inglorious Blasters are able to push up. Oh, and unfortunately, wow, that it's just a lot of damage on the board. We're just seeing a lot of damage being done right now.
We're seeing this is going to be a Widow off right out the gate. This is going to be whose Widow is better, and right now, it's sort of up in the air, right? Just because on Diablo, we saw those very amazing early picks, but Ichigo has proven very effective just in general. We see Jesper swapping onto that Sombra, I think a fantastic pick just to get that backline, but Stalker now going onto that Doomfist.
So they have decided that they're no longer going to be matching up. They do not want to just be poking at long range. They actually want to be going in and they want to be getting those picks on those snipers and those damage dealers that are giving them so many problems.
They want to mix up that backline. They're going to do just that with Stalker on the Doomfist. Maybe provide a bit of a target for Ichigo, but Diablo getting that pick on a Stalker, a very big disadvantage now, especially with sights coming up for Diablo. Probably will allow Inglorious Blasters to capture this first point.
Yeah, especially with that window coming out at this point. I mean, if they lose one, then oh no, there's a recontest from Stalker who just yeets right in there with the Doomfist, but they capped anyway. They C9'd. Oh no, that's unfortunate. But I mean, it is just cleanup from Inglorious Blasters anyway, especially now with their spawns, and Stalker's like, you know what, it's okay, it's time for me to reset, and he just jumps off the map.
Yeah, Antiablo fighting 2 there to sort of clean it up. Very, very well played from Antiablo and the Inglorious Blasters. The One King I did see finding 2 picks early on just to sort of cement that this point is theirs. And they're taking up a ton of space here. We have Zwoom and Antiablo taking up this front line, playing a very aggressive Widow, and it's proving costly already as Jesper gets the hack off and gets that pick onto Antiablo.
Oh yes, that was just unfortunate. Their supports were pushing cards, and Antiablo was kind of just left out to dry as the Sombra was able to really just isolate that Widow and take him down. But they're still slowly making progress, so it hasn't stopped them all that much.
Jesper now getting a second pick onto Antiablo in that backline, proving very effective. Gravitic Flux not going to find anyone. I believe they got hacked out of that. Very well done from Jesper, who's been... Again, now that they're swapping onto the Sombra, an absolute menace. Now, we do have Nick now on the Ana. Interesting picks here, sort of going counterculture to what we normally see on Circuit Royale, especially on defense. So far, it's working out pretty well for them.
Well, that is a very, very nice trance from them. Antiablo is still going down, and there are just ults being thrown out left, right, and center on this point.
Antiablo deciding that Widow was probably not the right decision, especially with Jesper at their disposal. So they're going to ultimately swap to Tracer here, and I think that's probably a great decision, especially with when Ichigo still staying on that Widowmaker is going to provide a bit of a threat. So if you can get up close, get those picks like they did just now, you're in a pretty good spot. They do get slept, though, by Nick, who's just sort of getting what they can before backing up. Thankfully, they have Zwoom. They're able to keep them alive. Jesper, though, getting those backline picks. They find Atsu before going down to Fluffy.
Yeah, that beat's coming out, but that window's coming out, and unfortunately, window outputs a lot more damage than Beats is able to sustain, and so they are looking very, very healthy for this fight. Smiley they're just trying to stagger touches at this point, but ultimately Inglorious Blasters are going to cap this one.
Yeah, and they will have 3 minutes left on the clock. 3:20, my mistake, to fully capture here. Antiablo gained that pick on Ichigo, and I think it might be time for Ichigo to swap off here. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Sojourn or maybe even an Ashe here. They're gonna match the Ditto here. Antiablo gonna have some competition now as Ichigo swaps onto that Tracer. We saw them face off against each other on these Tracers on Ilios, and Antiablo proved very, very effective, but you can't count Ichigo out. So I think this is ultimately a really good swap for them as we go into this fight.
Well, the Sombra hack coming out before the ult, so the Flux was able to be free, and Antiablo getting that stack onto Stalker is just going to help them to clean up this fight. With Antiablo, the One King actually getting that kill from like basically across map with Anti chasing that down. But they are looking very, very dominant here as a team. So we're going to see what Jesper Swag can actually do with those ultimates.
They're going to go with the EMP, immediately get that pick onto Atsu, and then probably going to find something here onto Zwoom. They do have that Immortality Field just to keep them alive, so they will go down, but they do get real low. Zwoom rocking Stalker from far away, and Ichigo going to stick with that Widowmaker going back onto it. I guess when you're in this position, probably a good spot, but not if you're gonna get rolled immediately by Zwoom. And Inglorious Blasters will full cap this point with the minute 43 left on the clock.
Wow, that was incredibly well played by them. Their ult rotations, they were able to just play around that Sombra so well, with the fact that they just had so much poke pressure, and unfortunately, Nick and Smiley weren't able to out-heal all of that damage that's just coming in all of the time, and Stalker was not able to disrupt enough on that Doomfist, even though he was trying. I completely agree with you. I would have preferred to see Ichigo switch off actually quite a bit earlier, around about the time that Antiablo did, just to realize that that Tracer is going to be a threat, because he has been a threat thus far. He has been very, very dominant on Tracer, getting the sticks, just getting the picks when need be. But we see they look like they're going to try the Widow 1v1 again, so we'll see what happens this time.
I mean, it was a bit of back and forth on that first point. They were both proving to get some very, very valuable picks. So I'd be interested to see how this Widow Ditto goes as far as the 1v1. Especially with these tank picks, Inglorious Blasters on the defense can have Zwoom on that Sigma. We saw them very, very effective. They were just an absolute menace going into this. So again, on Diablo with Zwoom on the Sigma, gonna be very, very scary for Five Nights.
And we also see on Diablo just typing in chat, if I get dipped, I switch. Which is very funny. Him just basically saying, okay, cool, you know, kudos, you have proved that you are the better Widow, but landing some nice shots very, very early onto Stalker, so that's going to delay their dive. It's a very interesting dive with a Widow, and
the first pick going out onto Ichigo on Diablo, again proving that they are the dominant Widow here. Atsu getting a pick out of Jesper, and this push from Five Nights stops right before it starts.
And we see also Atsu putting out a lot of damage there with the support line of Fluffy and Atsu. They're just able to protect one another against the Tracer. And then Atsu just got a very, very nice volley into the face of the Tracer, and the Tracer just popped. So yeah, you're gonna have to be very, very careful of that. Yeah, that support line is scary.
Very scary. Ichigo gonna try to get take two for the sniper here. Not gonna find anything, especially with that shield coming out. And Atsu finding a few here just to push back Five Nights. And Atsu has been putting in the work where, say, the One King or Aunt Diablo could not. So they've been proving the sneaky pick here for Inglorious Blasters.
Yes, and we see here with the tanks now that they're matching, and obviously the Five Nights at Freddy's have now decided, okay, we've got to match this, we've got to try and get the same sort of damage out, we've got to get the same sort of pick potential out, because the dive, they were just getting absolutely melted as soon as they made any sort of play into the open space.
And I believe we are getting a pause. Very interesting. Just a bit of a preliminary look at this attack. We've seen Five Nights try a lot here, and I think a lot of it is decent for experimentation, but when you're in grand finals, there's not a lot of room for error.
No, I completely agree, and I'm just a little bit confused, because generally when you want to play some sort of dive, you need to have follow-up with that Winston, and having the Tracer just follow-up was not enough. They kept the Widow throughout, and so I feel like that heavily hindered it, but obviously with them making a full compositional switch now, they're obviously going to try and match up and get out as much damage as Inglorious Blasters are also putting out.
Yeah, and I believe we are going to get ready to go back into it. Not sure what the quick pause was, but I guess it doesn't really matter so long as the game can continue and we can keep casting Overwatch.
Yes.
On Diablo, again, proving absolutely dominant on this defense. We're going to see if Ichigo will choose to stay on the Widow, especially with this 1v1 incoming.
Yeah, Zwoom dropping very low there, a couple nice headshots. Oh, and Jesper Swag getting a nice kill on Diablo, who has been providing a lot of their kill and pick potential. So now we finally see Five Nights at Freddy's are actually getting into a rhythm of they're actually able to push the payload.
Yeah, it's without that looming threat of Aunt Diablo, they're able to push the point forward just a little bit further. Immortality Field going down, and Ichigo's gonna find that pick on a Zwoom, allow Five Nights to fully capture first point there. The One King, though, getting that pick out of Jesper sort of in the last moments of that first point, and the sights coming out from on Diablo. Smiley knows she can't do anything. She has to sort of just stay there and allow Nick to put in that sort of work to move forward.
Yeah, you can see the respect. It's like, I know the Widow's looking at me, I'm just going to stay crouched because this is my safe space. But I'm quite excited to see what Zwoom is able to actually do with his ultimate, see how he's able to utilize this, because both teams are just battering at each other right now. No teams are, and there it comes out.
With no rock available, Zwoom is going to go with that Gravitic Flux, and they're already finding a few picks here. On Diablo finds one, the One King finds one, and Zwoom finds one for himself. Everyone's eating pretty good with that Gravitic Flux, and being absolute one Ichigo, no chance as Zwoom gets that pick for what I believe is a team kill.
Yes, it was just if they had the Zen ult a bit earlier, if they'd made those switches a bit earlier and had stopped trying to force the dive, they would have had the Transcendence to actually counter that out. But that's a really, really nice pick because Atsu cannot ult this fight because he was picked really, really early.
Even with the window coming out from Fluffy, it's not enough to hold back Five Nights. Gravitic Flux coming out now for Five Nights. Not going to find anyone, but Ichigo finding two here. Going to allow them to move forward. And that pick now onto Zwoom from Nick. Absolutely massive on Diablo. Sort of in the sneaky spot here, trying to find that pick. But no success as Ichigo shutting that down real quick.
Yeah, I mean, he stood around that corner and he forced Trance. That is a big ultimate to come out when you could need it for this recontest.
Window coming out from Smiley, and it's going to force a bit of a redirect. Atsu able to get that kick out onto Nick, and it might allow Inglorious Blasters to hold on here just a little bit. Ichigo finding two, though. It's going to be a bit of a back and forth brawl. Ichigo does go down to Zwoom, and it looks like they will have to back up a little over a little under a minute 30 to go to fully capture second point here.
Yeah, that was a very, very well played hold by them with that early window coming out. And unfortunately, there was no even though they didn't have the Transcendence, they were able to hold that, and now Jesper Swag is going to have his ult coming into this, so we'll see if he can get some early picks in order for them to actually just push this through into third.
Ichigo, that early pick onto Diablo, going to be massive here for Five Nights, especially with Stalker getting that the swap onto Devo. But Atsu, you can't count him out. He's now the sort of honorary sniper here. Nick, though, able to find the One King, and Overclock coming out from Jesper is going to find Zwoom before they go down to Diablo, who's finally now back in the fight, going to contest a little bit longer. It's forcing Five Nights to sort of re-strategize here as more and more of their guys go down. That's both supports from Five Nights going down pretty much solely to Diablo, who's been putting in the work now that they're off Widow.
Yeah, he really has been, and I mean, we've seen now Stalkers switched off to Diva, they've switched off to Sombra because they've realized, okay, we need something to try and break this, so Jesper is just going to scout out, but they're running really, really low on time, and Zwoom does have bombs to put on the point, so I don't know how Five Nights at Freddy's is actually going to be able to cap this, but we'll see what they can do with that early pick.
A beautiful hack from Jesper to get that pick onto Diablo. They will be able to get back into the fight. And the mines coming out from Zwoom could prove deadly here for Five Nights. And now that we are in overtime, this is the last chance to prevent Inglorious Blasters from going up 2-1 in grand finals here. And with the big picks coming out from Inglorious Blasters, it might just be that way. No one left to sort of hold on here other than Ichigo, who's trying to do what they can, but ultimately not enough, as Inglorious Blasters will take Circuit Royale and go up 2-1 over Five Nights at Freddy's.
That was a very, very back and forth game. I mean, even though they weren't able to actually cap that third point, those teams were just going back and forth the entire time. Oh, we see a big play of the game. I'm about to eat my words, I know this, but that was a nice Trance.
I mean, it...
and he died at the end of it.
But we do want to say that Atsu has been performing really, really well on circuit. I mean, even when Diablo went off that Widow, this sort of became the honorary sniper there, and god dang, they proved pretty effective on that sniper.
Yeah, no, that was incredibly well played by Atsu. He was able to just output so much damage. But we are going to jump to a 2-minute break, just so that teams can just kind of de-stress a little bit, grab some water. But we hope to see you guys back for an exciting next map to see which team takes that one.
Hello and welcome back to the grand finals of Sunburst Cup presented by Competitive Overwatch South Africa. Just some guy here with KK, and man, it has been a fantastic match so far. Only 3 matches in, it's been back and forth, neck and neck.
Oh my goodness, these two teams honestly showing why they are the best in South Africa so far. We have seen some amazing headshots, we've seen some amazing team plays, so I'm excited to see what happens as we go into the next map, which is COWZA.
I think a really good decision from Five Nights. I mean, they did pick Circuit as their third map, didn't necessarily work out in their favor, but I think COWZA is just sort of a good overall map for push. Just in general, you have it allows them to sort of fall back on their really great players. You have Stalker, who was really great on that Winston, just tearing up that backline, especially on Ilios on that first map. You'll have Jesper Swag probably on that Sojourn, able to get those long range railguns that we saw can be absolutely devastating. And then not to mention everyone else on that roster who's been very, very effective. Even like Smiley or Ichigo or even Nick, who've been sneaky good or even have had some massive plays throughout this set.
Yes, it's been an absolutely phenomenal showing, and I really like this map pick. There's a lot of different comps that you can run. A lot of teams I've seen have playing the Junker Queen with more of like a brawly style, and obviously Dive is tried and tested for both teams. So I guess we're just gonna see whether they stick to that or whether, yeah, and early on, Stalker is looking at the Doofus again.
At what point does it become too much? Because Stalker on the Doomfist so far in this set has not proven terribly effective. every now and then they'll get some massive picks. We saw that in King's Row, but it wasn't enough to win that map. So I think at what point, the question isn't, are they going to stay on Doofus? It's when they're going to swap to the Monkey.
Yeah, unfortunately, that has been the situation so far. I'm wondering if it's going to change up a little bit, see if he gets a bit more just pressure with Jesper Swag being on that Sombra to be able to follow up on that. And I mean, they do get a very, very early pick on Diablo on that Tracer themselves.
A strong first impression here on Colosseo. That hack coming out from Jasper, getting that pick on Africorticus, swapping in for Fluffy here on Colosseo before going down to Atsu and that damage orb. It can be sneaky deadly, especially when you're at those low healths.
And we see here Stalker has just kind of been forced out away from his team, and the Kiriko is not going to jump in after him. That is practically just asking the entire enemy team to turn and kill you. So luckily they were able to get out with no staggers, so he's not going to get a lot of push on the bot. And Stalker will be able to come back in and recontest that.
Taking an early lead 1 minute into the match here. Again, there's still 9 minutes left. It's ultimately who can sustain the most momentum here, and it might just be Five Nights as Atsu goes down, but we can't count out Inglorious Blasters as the One King gets that pick on the Ichigo, as well as Swoom taking out Stalker. It's gonna force Five Nights back and continue this lead for the Inglorious Blasters.
Yeah, we see here that Swoom is already up to 75%. Ult basically on Diablo has that pulse bomb, so they're looking at a lot of ults for Inglorious Blasters to be able to continue this push.
Pulse Bomb from Diablo finds nothing, but Pulse Bomb from Ichigo finds the One King and allows this sort of retake to start for Five Nights, maybe even to take the lead. They do win this fight as Stalker gets that pick on Diablo, and the long-range virus from Jesper is going to prove deadly. Meteor Strike coming in for Stalker, going to find that pick on Atsu, and they're just going to tear up this backline, allow everyone on Five Nights to just sort of push TS1 forward, maybe even take the lead here as Swoom probably not going to allow that to happen as they do have Primal at the ready. EMP, though, coming out from Jesper. Going to find that pick on the Apri. Nick going to do what they can to hold on to everyone here. But the overclock from the One King does find Stalker. It's just sort of a back and forth on the ults being pulled here. Swoom now with Primal Rage. Going to find Nick, and Swoom's going to find another. Allow Inglorious Blasters to retake here without losing too much of a lead.
Yeah, that team fight just went back and forth with both teams throwing out ults. We do see Inglorious Blasters throwing out 3, Five Nights throwing out 2, so they do still have the Kitsune Rush when they come in for this fight, but Stalker is already half HP. He needs to be full when he goes in for those dives, otherwise he does just get picked apart.
Without a doubt, with Kitsune Rush at the ready, they can sort of take this advantage here. They will go for it now, and the health coming out from Nick, not enough, so they go ahead with the beat. Pulse Bomb from Ichigo finds Atsu running away, and it's going to force everyone else to back up. Ichigo has proven too much of a threat. They can't stay here for long.
Oh, shame, poor Swoom. He got stuck and he tried to jump out of everyone's way, and then he jumped straight into his support's hands, and he was like, here you go, have a present. It's gonna cause you death, but that's my bad. So that was just really unfortunate from him. But we see both teams actually don't have any ults now, so it's just who can get the first pick and whether they're actually able to stabilize enough. And as I say that, Ichigo gets one on Diablo.
Diablo sort of in that backline trying to get some early picks, but it's not going to work, especially with Ichigo on that Tracer, proving absolutely lethal to Inglorious Blasters. Meteor Strike coming out from Stalker, maybe able to find a pick here. It gets some big damage out onto the One King as they do capture the front spawn. The Five Nights at Freddy's do.
Yes, we see they're fighting all around. They're fighting on those high grounds, but they're not actually fighting on the bottom. While they were taking all of those different 1v1s and Stalker just being an absolute menace on that Doomfist, they were just able to continue pushing the bot. Smiley did come under a little bit of pressure, but luckily Nick was able to bail her out, and so they were able to get to where they are now, which is obviously pushing the bot.
Sure, now we have Ichigo again, just tearing up that back line, putting Atsu in a very rough spot. They do have Coalescence at the ready, and they are going to use it, but Stalker just sort of proving that they can shut this down when they please. They do get real low just because of that, how massive Coalescence could be, and the One King get a finish off Stalker. Try to shut down that Coalescence, not really working out in their favor.
No, unfortunately, he missed the punch there, and so he was like, I'm gonna tank this, and then because he missed the punch, he was like, okay, I'm gonna tank the entire call, and so they were able to just turn around and actually punish him for that. But we see Zoom here does have ult, so we're gonna see what he does with his Primal in order to continue to get this bot push.
Primal going out as a desperation. Couldn't find that pick onto Jesper, but the overclock from the One King finds Ichigo at the very least, who's been a massive threat to their team. Jesper going down as well in the last seconds of that overclock. Very well done from the One King to keep this momentum going for them.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful plays by him. I mean, you saw the way that he literally tracked that Sombra through the air and ended up killing the Sombra mid-air, mid-translocate, mid-invisible. So very, very well played by the One King to get a lot of value off of their ult so that they can continue this push.
Sure, might even allow them to capture front spawn here unless Five Nights has anything to say about it, and they just might. They do have beat at the ready. Jesper from long range gained that pick on Antiablo. They're not going to have front spawn just yet as Five Nights comes back into the fight. Now with 5v4 with Antiablo out of the fight. So they have to worry about this. Smiley getting that pick on the One King in the backline. This backline getting torn up. Swoom, though, finds that pick on the Ichigo. It's just sort of a back and forth here. The punch is going out. Stalker able to pick up that kill on the Atsu. But Antiablo now back in the fight. Gets that pick on the Jesper swag. Getting the sort of revenge there. Stalker, though, taking out Swoom. And it's going to end that fight then and there. Five Nights able to retake the point.
For Inglorious Blasters, that looked like an easy one fight, but well played to Jesper Swag, seeing that Lucio was about to ult and hacking him straight out of it, and then they were able to capitalize off of that because they just didn't have the HP to sustain that. But we are coming up to another EMP, so we'll see how that goes because they do not have a beat to actually counteract that. So Stalker is just being a menace, pushing the bot, but Nick goes out really
able to find
early.
Nick. Able to find Nick. They are going to try to get what they can before leaving. Almost got hacked, but it's able to jump out in the nick of time. Going to try to get this pick on the Jesper, and they do. They do go down, and Inglorious Blasters will continue their push forward.
Yeah, this is just, it is just consistently back and forth, but it genuinely. And there the Kitsune Rush comes out, and they still have not capped that front spawn with that butt scratch yet.
Pulse bomb coming out from Antiablo. Not going to find anyone, but the stick. Ichigo finds the pick onto Swoom, and Five Nights has just proven that they have the better tracer at their disposal. Stalker finding two to clean it up there and retake the point.
The amount of kicks that Ichigo is getting this game is absolutely phenomenal, truly showing their prowess on the tracer. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. Every single time it's like they have pulse bomb, oh, they got a stick, and they killed Antiablo as they
find
are
them out of position in that mid zone, off to the side there. And I mean, we could talk about Ichigo all day for hours here, but you can't count out Jesper Swag or Stalker, who have been getting those very valuable picks, those very valuable hacks. Just as I say that, Stalker getting that pick on an Apri allows them to move forward even further. And now fully charged up Stalker, just looking for his next target.
And I mean, we were questioning the Doomfist pick. We were saying, oh, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he's switching off. But he is really making it work, just getting in there, and that is a huge EMP.
Eating my words there, as Jesper with that EMP, able to find two at the very least, and pushes Inglorious Blasters even further back. Now, not a ton of time left for Inglorious Blasters to mount a comeback, but we've seen it happen before. 35 seconds left on the clock. It could still happen.
Yes, I mean, you literally lose one or two fights, and then, I mean, Zoom already has the opening pick using that Primal Rage, and he's going to get a second, showing absolutely beautiful Primal mechanics on that Winston.
No mercy at all with that Primal Rage. Pulse Bomb, though, at the ready for Ichigo, just mounting, waiting for that overtime to start as the push of TS1 goes back in the favor of Inglorious Blasters. That's really the only ult they have at the ready. They will have Kitsune Rush soon, but maybe not immediately on this fight.
Yeah, I think they're really going to be trying to build up as many ults as possible because you just need to win the one fight, and then that is it. We need to see minimal staggers here, and that's an early beat coming up from Inglorious Blasters just to be able to maintain the space that they're trying to push.
And now the beat and Kitsune Rush coming out from Five Nights and already finding value in it as Ichigo gets the pick on Diablo Stalker, able to slam down Ichigo, finding another. Can they find a third here? Maybe not, as the Meteor Strike comes out, able to get some big damage out there. Ichigo finds a third on his Swoom, and that's going to do it. Five Nights will take COWZA and bring our set to 2-2.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Stalker made us eat our words. I would just like to say, well played to Five Nights at Freddy's. You could see they were going in with their game plan. They knew, okay, this is how Stalker is going to play this. He's going to go in, he's going to try and punch, disrupt, and we follow up. And I mean, as you said, not to discount the damage that Ichigo is doing. He is getting some phenomenal sticks, and Jesper getting some massive EMPs and hacks off on critical targets when they're about to engage on a fight. So very, very well played to bring this matchup to 2-2.
You've said it before, and I'll say it again. Stalker on that Doomfist has it seems like a night and day on this map compared to the other maps that we've seen him operate on. So I mean, I think they just work really well with the Doomfist, but I think part of that also comes with the support that they've been getting, not just from their supports, not just from Smiley, not just from Nick, but also those massive hacks that we're seeing from Jesper Swag. We could talk about Ichigo and their absolute menace picks on Tracer all day, but I do want to highlight some attention to Jesper Swag and then the supports as well. They've been just absolutely dominant, allowing those pushes to keep going, because Stalker on that Doomfist, they can go down real quick. So if you have that sustain available with those support picks, I don't know what to tell you. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
100%. Their supports were staying alive. Five Nights at Freddy's they just knew what they wanted to do, and they were able to execute it so well. Nick staying up and getting off some critical Kitsune rushes just to be able to push that damage through, get some attack speed, and just get that momentum to continue that fight when it looked a bit dicey. And Smiley with some fantastic beats in order to keep Stalker up, because he did take an incredible amount of damage, but those supports staying alive was definitely that key element in order for them to just continue that momentum. And I'm hoping that they carry that momentum through into this next map, which is New Junk City.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be the first Flashpoint map in the entire Sunburst Cup.
Absolutely crazy. Yay!
with the best of 7, nothing is off the table, especially with two extremely talented teams like Five Nights and like Inglorious Blasters. I think Five Nights expected this to go a little bit more in their favor, especially with their previous matchup against Inglorious Blasters. That went 3-0 in their favor back in winter semis, not too long ago. So to see them take it to a map 5, possibly even we might even see a map 7 with just how close these sets have been. I'll be interested to see what they decide to go with here.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to these teams. I mean, anybody who's ever played knows that, as you said, this is a gauntlet. This is not just a quick 1-2, okay, great, we're done. I mean, this can go to a full 7 maps, and considering how close these teams are, I would not be surprised. But I mean, we see Stalker here playing Junker Queen, who is notoriously known to do very, very well. I mean, in New Junk City, it's a little on the nose, but
sure.
We're going to see them play a little bit more of like a brawly style, really get up into Inglorious Blaster's face with that shout, with that Queen, and we'll see what Stalker can actually do with that Junker Queen and actually landing those knives.
As an enjoyer of Jotes myself, I am really glad to see this here, and we're already seeing some value as Zwoom goes down. Just the amount of pressure coming in after that shout from Stalker proving too deadly for Zwoom to stay alive. They do fight it at a cost as Jesper and Nick go down. It is a 3v3 now, back and forth, and it looks like Five Nights will be trying to take control early of this point. Shout going out from Stalker, just trying to force Inglorious back, and we can't count out Ichigo on that Tracer, who's been absolutely deadly in the pick on the Atsu. The cleave now on his Zwoom, forcing them to back out of there as Five Nights will take early control at this point.
And we see Jesper Swag dropping a bit low here. At least they have the Kiriko back. Oh, Stalker is just going. He is pressing the W. But that's absolutely fine. He does have his team exactly. But we actually see the switch onto the Genji, which is very, very nice because we know, I mean, obviously with the projectile changes, Genji does a lot of damage, and also with the HP changes, even though, you know, that might not be a game changer, it is definitely going to be playing in their favor to be able to follow up on that Queen.
Diablo with the pulse bomb, able to find the stick onto Stalker, but it's not enough to get the pick just because of that support. Able to stay in and keep them alive. They will have to back up, allowing Inglorious to take the point here, but not without Five Nights taking more than 70%.
Yeah, I mean, as we know, with any sort of flashpoint, the points tick up very, very quickly. So, I mean, even though it has been a fight and a half with a Junker Queen ult coming out, they were able to take 70%.
Zwoom in a precarious spot, trying to jump up, not enough. They will go down, but I mean, you can't count out the One King on that Genji, who's been getting just slicing and dicing the competition here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Five Nights at Freddy's does not have a beat for this. So when that blade comes out, it could definitely cause them to get the picks in order for them to win that fight. And I mean, we see how fast the point is ticking up. It's already on 60%. So they're very, very close in percentage.
Blade coming out from Five Nights, the beat to counter it, and the coalescence from Atsu will bring them down, and this Kitsune Rush not proving very effective as now on the Junker Queen as well. Inglorious Blasters will win this fight.
Wow, that was very, very well played by them. I mean, it was a hefty fight, but I mean, they got the first point, and that is what they wanted. And I mean, we see Zwoom here has also switched on to the Junker Queen, acknowledging that the Junker Queen is providing so much for Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, it's just been a very effective tank. Not just, maybe not as effective in Season 9, but on New Junk City, it just feels right. They have the right amount of rush to really excel in these points.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just going to kind of come down to which team can get the first knife, see if they can go in on that, because, I mean, both teams right now, it was very expensive fights for them last fight, so they're all just going to be building ults up now until that eventually happens.
Five Nights sneakily taking early control of this point, but not without a bit of a cost. They're having a few picks as the One King just slicing through. They're tearing through the competition here. They're tearing through Five Nights, and they have to rethink if they want to solve the puzzle that is the One King.
The One King saw the opportunity to play Genji, and they were like, yes, it is my time, because we've seen the One King pop off, do so incredibly well in other matches against other teams on the Genji. And so we actually see Five Nights at Freddy's have decided, okay, we're not going to play the Junker Queen anymore. We're going to go back to what did us well on the push map, and they're going to go back to the Doomfist and the Tracer and the Sombra.
The Sombra already in a bit of trouble as they got down real low, able to survive just barely. But again, like you said, that Doomfist was very, very effective on Colosseo. They're hoping for a similar outcome here. The Pulse Bomb getting stuck on a Zwoom. They're able to stay alive just barely. But my God, that was a close one there. In the meantime, they're able to get that pick on Diablo. Stalker getting that punch now, getting the One King out of the fight. And now it's just a matter of the surviving this coalescence from Atsu.
Yes, the very, very invisible call. But we see, unfortunately, Five Nights at Freddy's, all of their HP is very low. And they committed Kitsune Rush to that. I would have saved it for next point because unfortunately you could see how low everybody was. They'd lost 2, then they lost a third. So that would have been a really, really nice opener for this next flashpoint in order for them to get an early lead in that.
It absolutely would have, and I believe they're going to swap over onto the Moira just to match Atsu, who's been doing pretty well on that Moira just to keep everyone back. We see Zwoom now going to stick with that Junker Queen. It proved pretty effective in these first 2 points. Rampage now coming out, going to find an early pick on a Jesper, and it's going to be heavily in the favor of Inglorious here as the cleave goes out, just barely misses Nick, but they will ultimately go down to Zwoom, and Inglorious Blasters will take early control of this 3rd point.
Yeah, and I mean, generally, when you are in a team that is fighting up against a Junker Queen, you know that that ult is going to come out. You know that actually Kiriko can cleanse that. So I'm not so sure about this Moira pick, even though Asu is playing well. I don't know how well the Moira pick actually fares against the Junker Queen because it's just not able to provide as much utility, especially with that cleanse.
A very good point. The One King with that blade at the ready, but Smiley does have that beat to counter. The EMP though coming out, and Stalker's gonna find 2 right out the gate. How about that? Zwoom able to get that pick on a Jesper, and it's gonna be a back and forth. Stalker finding a 3rd now as they're gonna commit beat in a very shocking decision there. Not really gonna pay off too well as they do go down to Nick. Interesting decision from Apri there.
Yeah, that was a very interesting decision. I think it might have just been a call to just stall out the points because then you get to 1-fight territory, especially because it goes up to 3 points. But I mean, even then, it was a massive EMP and you could see that that fight was basically won. So I'm also not quite sure about that one.
Pulse Bomb going out from Ichigo, gets Apri real low, and they're able to finish it off themselves. B coming out from Smiley to counter the blade from the One King, not able to get any value with that. Very just well played from Smiley to hold on to that ult and to just stay alive there.
Yeah, that was incredibly well played. Well, we see both calls coming out. Unfortunately, Inglorious Blosses, Atsu just goes down so quickly within that ult, and Nick's call is just getting so much more value because they actually did not have the hack to stop their Moira's call.
Sure, I mean, Jesper finding 2 there in that fight, especially after that hack, just to shut down Atsu. And they will keep control of this 3rd point, possibly take their first round of New Junk City here.
Yeah, I'm looking towards Zwoom's ult because we saw that it won them the fight last time because they had no cleanse, and unfortunately Five Nights at Freddy's don't have any ults, and they lost Ichigo to the dash of the One King.
Starting out pretty strong. Antiablo getting that Pulse Bomb onto Nick. A very massive boon for Inglorious, especially with Atsu finding another, Antiablo finding another onto Smiley, and they're going to be able to retake here, and possibly this might be it. This might be last fight territory for Five Nights.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, Stalker, I think, maybe gets touched, but he's going in by himself, and he is going to get melted incredibly quickly from them.
Ichigo's going to do what they can, but ultimately I don't think it's going to matter. They're going to touch, allow the team to come back. EMP coming out from Jesper, gets massive. Find the picks on the One King before Zwoom takes them out. 3 hacked now. Rampage coming out from Zwoom, though, as well as beat from Apri. Apri getting that pick on a Smiley. The Pulse Bomb from Ichigo. Not going to find anyone. Zwoom getting that pick on a Nick here. And it is just not going well for Five Nights. No real sustained left, and Inglorious Blasters will win New Junk City in a pretty dominant fashion and go up 3-2.
Yeah, I really like the idea of Five Nights at Freddy's where they had the Junker Queen, but then unfortunately when Inglorious Blasters actually matched that, they weren't able to fight head-to-head with those 2 compositions, and so then they had to switch off, and so Inglorious Blasters were just able to get the picks they needed. They were able to get the fight wins that they needed, and some great plays by Five Nights at Freddy's, but at the end of the day, Inglorious Blasters do end up taking that map, and now we are at 3-2. Inglorious Blasters on match points.
Very, very well played from Inglorious Blasters. I mean, there's a lot of people to spotlight there for that map. Obviously, you've got You've got quite a bit. You've got the One King on that Genji. I mean, just slicing through, especially in those early rounds, just not allowing anything as far as any ground for Five Nights. Meanwhile, you've got Zwoom on that. Once they swapped to the Junker Queen, it was just sort of lights out for the rest of New Junk. Just very well played from both of them. Allowed them to take it to 3-2 and allow them to get to match point as we go into map 6 here.
And talking about map 6, we are going from one junk area to the next. So for map 6, we're going to be going to Junkertown. So another very, very sniper heavy favor map. I mean, or you could switch it up and continue to do what the team's doing and just go heavy in on that dive and just be able to envelop the teams. It's completely dependent, but I mean, it could go both ways.
Yeah, we're ultimately going to have to see what they end up deciding, but I believe we are going to take a... Oh, my mistake. Never mind. We're gonna go right into my mistake. I misread there. That's my fault. But yeah, I'm gonna be very interested to see how both teams play this. Five Nights, obviously, this is their last chance. They need to make a statement here on Junkertown, especially the redesigned Junkertown. There's a lot more opportunity, especially on this first point, for different compositions.
Oh, and I mean, already, like right off the bat, we're seeing a complete sort of switch up. We're seeing Smiley on the brig and we're seeing Stalker on the ball. So I mean, we know Zoom is comfortable on the ball. We haven't seen much of Stalker's gameplay on the ball, so it's going to be quite interesting. And this is them. Oh, okay. And Smiley is switching it up, deciding that the BAP is going to provide a bit more utility to the Zen that the brig would. Inglorious Blasters look like they're mimicking the ball as well. I mean, I could be baited, but I mean, seeing a ball come out on this map can create so much space for a team that is running more of a dive.
Sure, I believe Diablo playing a bit of misdirection. They were, if you saw in match chat, they were trying to say if they got diffed by the Widow, but I believe they're sticking with the Tracer here. Interesting pick, but I mean, they're going to take a lot of space to start out. And Ichigo not going to find any sort of grounds here, as both the One King and Diablo sort of going for the bum rush right onto them. They're going to stay alive, but man, the space that Inglorious Blasters is taking is something else.
Wow, Stalker dropping very, very low, very, very quickly. I mean, both teams playing the Sombra, we know how irritating that can be for a ball player, but Inglorious Blasters just getting the picks in order for them to actually win this fight. But I mean, as I say that, 2 kills go the other way.
Yeah, Ichigo getting that long-range shot onto Apri just sort of forces Inglorious back. Stalker in a very risky spot, especially with Diablo right behind them, and Zwoom as well, but they will stay alive just barely.
Watching Stalker's gameplay is making me sweat because I'm like, oh my goodness, is he gonna die? Is he not gonna die? But Jesper Swag going down really, really early, and you need those hacks in order to be able to take that fight effectively with that ball. So that's very unfortunate from him.
Unfortunate indeed. Speaking of which, Zwoom going really low, while Stalker trying to contest. They do get hacked, and I believe unless something big happens, this is going to go in the favor of Inglorious Blasters as they take this first point. The One King finding 2 there.
Yeah, the One King showing, you know what, you can do Sombra, I can do Sombra just as well, if not even better. I mean, we see the One King already having EMP, so I mean, as Five Nights at Freddy's is coming in to contest, that EMP could be absolutely massive in them just maintaining this push in order to get this to point 3.
We're seeing a relatively new hero here in this set. Ichigo going off the Widow onto Cassidy.
Ooh. Oh, that was a big stick.
The ordinary pick, but the stick from Diablo onto Stalker proving very effective, but ultimately no kills there. Stalker gain that pick onto the One King, but the hack from Jesper putting Zwoom in danger. They're going to stay alive just barely. Atsu keeping them standing a little longer, but the backline here, Ichigo going to go down to Diablo, just seeing that now that they're on Caster, going to be a little bit more vulnerable here.
Yes, I'm wondering if Ichiko decided to pick this just to be able to try and deal with the tracer better, or with that grenade just to slow down the ball in order to get that pick off, because the ball has been an issue. But we still see fights. The fights are very, very back and forth, very, very close.
Sure,
And that is a very, very early
here.
window.
No true winner in these fights. Smiley gonna go with the window just to force everyone on Inglorious Blasters back. They're sort of being forced into this one room in the side here, but ultimately it's gonna go in the favor of Five Nights as Nick gets that pick onto Atsu.
Oh, that was very, very nice from Nick. And I mean, from that, they're able to get Apricornicus, and this just seems like a team fight where they are almost backcapping the Somber running. Oh, that's unfortunate from the One King. They did try, but luckily, Five Nights at Freddy's was alert enough to go, okay, cool. We're not going to see 9. This is not going to happen.
I think both Stalker and Nick had their sights on the point just in case. And the One King definitely did make an attempt, ultimately not paying off there.
And that's Nick getting another early pick on Atsu. Very, very well played for them to be able to just take out that Moira.
Pulse bomb coming out from Antiablo. Not going to find anyone, but does force out that immortality field. Very well done from them as they will continue pushing this point forward. Zwoom able to find Smiley in a very rough spot. They'll be able to stay alive just barely. Possibly to find this pick on the Ichigo. And they do, as Inglorious Blasters will continue to push this point even further forward.
Oh my goodness. And that must be just absolutely frustrating for Five Nights at Freddy's, where Zwoom was literally 70 HP and he could have died, but it was just not to be. He got the health pack, came in, finished off Ichigo on the Cassidy, and now they have capped third.
Inglorious continuing the sort of dominance that they have here, sort of steamrolling through the through Junkertown here. They have over 3 minutes left in their time bank to full cap.
That is an incredible time bank. Oh, but I mean, we see an early pick on the Tracer. That's very nice. We hope that they can actually use that. And the big pick on Swoom to stabilize here and hopefully hold Inglorious Blasters, break a bit of that momentum.
Ichigo proving that time in the aim trainer was wasn't for naught. But Inglorious Blasters, all 5 ults at the ready. They've got a lot to play with here and a lot of time at that. EMP and Coalescence coming out from Inglorious Blasters. They're going to find the first 2 picks. The One King onto Ichigo and Nick. And they're just going to continue pushing this point forward as they still have 3 ults at the ready.
Oh, that is an unfortunate pick on Stalker. They really, really need him in order to be able to engage, especially with Jessup Swag, who is now sitting on that EMP, who's hoping that that is going to help. But they are being bullied by the Tracer. Oh.
It's going to force the supports of Five Nights back into spawn. Very well played from Zwoom. The beat coming up from Apri just to keep everyone alive there. Keep all 5 on that point. And Zwoom just tearing up the support line of Five Nights. Smiley going to go with that window. Just try to get that damage out there. A little greedy on that window. Not going to find anyone there. Not any real value, but it's going to force everyone back. He's going to retake that space, allow them to contest that point again.
Yeah, I actually quite like the use of window because you want to get out of that line of sight, and she was able to keep her team healed when they were coming under a insurmountable amount of pressure from the Inglorious Blasters. And now Inglorious Blasters just need to build up their ults because Five Nights at Freddy's have 3 ults to work with.
They do indeed, but the hack from onto Zwoom will find their demise. Ultimately, Transcendence coming out from Nick just to stay alive because of this backline pressure from Apri. They will go down ultimately, but I think forcing out that big utility is a massive boon for Inglorious.
I agree. Antiablo just being able to get there, just try to put some pressure onto Nick, and then you want to stay alive, you want to be able to provide that utility, but now you are with our Transcendence, which has the capabilities to just sustain and actually win the fight.
Yeah, mines coming out from Stalker directly onto point as Coalescence comes out from Atsu. Atsu's going to find that pick onto Jesper, but Jesper has proven very valuable here. Ichigo, that Pulse Bomb, not going to find anyone going to get that Immortality Field, though. Allows them to get one more pick. On Diablo, though, on an absolute tear here as they are just tearing through this backline. Stalker, a few picks at their disposal and allows them to hold on here. Last 10 seconds of the round. This is Final Fight territory for Five Nights. Five Nights just trying to hold on, make a statement here, and prevent the full cap from going out. Someone has to win this round ultimately if they cannot full cap. And Swoom gonna do what they can, but the window coming out from Smiley is gonna prove a massive resistance to go down there. Can it make it 3? They will ultimately once Apri uses their Suzu. They're gonna make it 5 here as both DPS just trying to get pepper in some damage. They might find this pick out of Ichigo, and they do. They almost cap there, almost sort of back cap, almost C9, but ultimately they have Stalker at the ready, able to prevent a full cap on Junkertown.
99.98 meters on point 3. They were so close, but so well played from Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, that time bank going into third was looking worrisome, but they were really able to follow up. Stalker was able to get that disruption off. Smiley played incredibly well, keeping the team up, and it was okay, because even though Nick used the Transcendence, it was fine. It wasn't like a team loss of the next time or anything like that, so it's all good. It's all good. So very, very well played to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Sure, and speaking of which, Five Nights has to full cap here. They have to get it all the way to where Inglorious Blasters does. Otherwise, it'll be Inglorious Blasters walking away with the Sunburst Cup, as this will be it. This could be the last round of the Sunburst Cup.
Yeah, to think of that, wow, that would be crazy. But you know what? I believe, I know that load shedding is looming in 9 minutes, but I do believe in Five Nights at Freddy's. I believe that we can get a map 7, best of 7, and even Smiley is saying in the chat 9 minutes. So we'll see what they can do. We'll see if they can full cap. Yeah, let's get into it. Very, very excited.
I forgot about the load managing. As someone who's not from South Africa, someone who's based in the States, I got to learn about that, I believe, last week, and very interesting to see that be the situation there. But as we go into as we go into Five Nights offense here, they're already taking a bit of space with Jesper on that Sombra. Nick able to get that pick on the Apri to start us out here, but everyone feeling really low here. Ichigo able to get that pick on Diablo, and it's gonna force Inglorious back up here.
Yes, very, very well played. Nick got 2 very nice kills. They're really lining those shots on the Zen. I'm not so sure about the Zoom Diva pick. I feel that there was a lot more being provided when Zoom was actually on ball. He was just able to get in, really get the picks, get the disrupts. Stalker going down very, very early here on this recontest, though.
Yeah, I think they tried to get greedy, tried to get some stagger picks, but it ultimately didn't work out. And ultimately, that's going to go in the favor of Inglorious Blasters, as they will win this fight pretty handily with Swoom finding 2 there.
Yes, I think if Stalker just played a bit safer, I mean, he knew where they were coming from, and he went and got picked, and then obviously his team just pushed into points to try and reset as fast as possible so that they can take as many fights to actually get this done. But we actually see on Diablo is scouting out for that Sombra just by shooting randomly. Oh, wow.
If it works, might as well. On Diablo with the Pulse Bomb finds a stick, but ultimately that Immortality Field will keep Nick alive. The self-destruct, though, from Swoom will find both supports from Five Nights, and you can see already a bit of a salt coming from Five Nights there.
Just the casual message just going, bro, which is just very unfortunate. But yes, no, Inglorious Blasters have definitely been able to stabilize this and are holding this really well. But Five Nights at Freddy's have almost 4 ults going into this fight.
They do indeed. They will have the beat to counter. Nick starting out early with that pick on Diablo. The EMP coming out from Jesper will find that pick on Apri, and it's going to force everyone on Inglorious Blaster's back. Jesper fighting another on Atsu. Can they get the D-Mech onto Zoom? They do. And will it be Jesper finding that pick? No, it's Ichigo. And Stalker cleaning that up, finding the pick on the One King, getting that team kill, and allowing Five Nights to move forward, possibly to capture first point.
Again, well played by that Zen to get a initial pick, and then Jesper was able to come in with a fantastic. We see on Diablo just sneaking on the side, just holding it out. Oh, that's a big beat.
All ults coming out from Inglorious to hold on to this point. They're going to do everything they can to end this match here and now. 1 minute left in the match if they can hold on here, but it might not be in their favor as Nick gets 2 there on both the One King and on Diablo. Ichigo finding that pick on his womb and allows Five Nights to capture that point and continue this match in Game 6.
Wow, yes, that was just all of the ults. I mean, well played by Diablo, who was actually able to get that touch just by sneaking around the side. How we see Stalker going, did you guys use everything? And Inglorious Blasters have to be like, yes, no. Yes, we did. Oh, very, very funny. But I mean, yeah, it was just unfortunate because they were holding that really well, but Five Nights at Freddy's were just able to get those picks, get those discords on key targets, and put that damage through in order to cap that point, and they're already halfway through point 2.
Sure, I mean, with that big commit from Inglorious, that leaves Five Nights at a massive advantage here. They have that pulse bomb and they have a window at the ready, but maybe not if Smiley goes down here. They had to use Immortality Field to stay alive, but the stick from Ichigo will find Apri sort of out of line here. Atsu goes down as well before Ichigo goes down, and this goes in the favor of Five Nights as they're going to try to do what they can. Zwoom's going to try to get what damage they can, but ultimately not enough, as just everyone on Five Nights is still alive and just providing a ton of pressure onto Zwoom. But the One King able to sort of save Zwoom in that room, getting that hack off onto Stalker. Window coming out from Smiley. It's going to provide some big damage, force everyone back, preventing this contest as they get that pick on the One King.
Yeah, that was very well played, and we see Jesper's holding on to that EMP if absolutely necessary, and immediately throwing it out.
Why not if you can find that pick on an Apricornicus, and they're going to try to do what they can. Jesper just barely staying alive thanks for that Immortality Field. Self-destruct now coming out from Zoom just because they don't have the Immortality Field available anymore. Not going to find anyone, but Stalker is going to get that pick on Diablo, and Stalker's going to be in some big trouble as Zoom gets that pick. Transcendence coming out not in enough time. They're going to do what they can. The stick coming out from Ichigo finds the pick on the One King, and it's going to force Apricornicus back. They find that pick, and the coalescence from Atsu, not enough. Five Nights will take the second point here.
Wow. Yeah, unfortunate. I would not have used that call because that fight, I mean, you could see it was already lost. I mean, Nick using the Transcenders just a little bit slowly, but I mean, they were still able to push that through even with Stalker going down because the team is just playing so well and very cohesively. I mean, Smiley throwing out some phenomenal lamps to keep her team alive.
Couldn't agree more. And we're looking at the time here. They got 2 minutes left, and I'm looking at my clock. 12:57. We are 3 minutes away from load shedding, and we're gonna see if Inglorious Blasters can close this out here, or if Five Nights can capture before it's too late. As Smiley and Ichigo get those picks, Ichigo finds another Jasper and Nick going down. Smiley go down as well. Inglorious Blasters, thanks to Zwoom, will hold on just a little bit longer here.
Zwoom on Baby Diva is absolutely terrifying. Even being out of mech, getting kills is absolutely ridiculous. But Stalker having the bombs here, being able to immediately get silenced, sure.
Yeah, the One King shutting that down with their EMP, not allowing any mines to come out there. But Ichigo getting that pick on the One King is sort of a revenge there. The One King's virus will take out Nick, though, and it's going to force Five Nights back even further. Minute and a half left for Five Nights to take Game 6 and bring us to a Game 7, but Zwoom getting that pick on to Ichigo, gonna prove a bit of a challenge here for Five Nights.
Yeah, I mean, Five Nights can throw all of their ults out, but they still need to make it all the way around the corner, and with Zwoom, who's probably keeping bomb for that, being able to just create that space that is needed, and... Oh!
The stick coming out from Ichigo, D-Mex Zwoom, and Zwoom will go down to Nick. No self-destruct coming out from Zwoom. They're going to hold on to it. I think ultimately a really good decision here. Stalker was in a bit of trouble, able to stay alive just barely after that hack. Nick able to get that pick. Transcendence getting forced out. Jesper going to get that pick out of Atsu, and Five Nights is going to move forward. 30 seconds left in the match.
Yeah, that was a really good Transcendence, just to be able to keep your team healed up, especially with Smiley going down there. You don't have that nice AoE healing from the BAP, the shift. So we'll see here what comes out, because the King is also looking very, very close to an EMP. So that could be very scary. EMP bomb, a tried and tested method.
Early beat coming out from Apricornicus, as well as the coalescence from Atsu. Mine's gonna come out from Stalker just to counter this. The One King, though, getting that pick out of Jesper, and Zwoom getting Nick here. Gonna put them in a rough spot. 2 seconds left on the clock. They're gonna have to go into overtime, and they're gonna do what they can. Stalker gonna get that pick out of Apricornicus. They're gonna have to hold on as long as possible, but it's not gonna matter as Atsu gets that pick, and it will be Inglorious Bastards that will win Junkertown and win the Sunburst Cup.
Well played to Inglorious Blasters. I mean, also, you know, it's 10 o'clock on the dot, so the fact that the team finished at 10 on the dot, I mean, kudos to them. But, I mean, we can't discount. Both teams played phenomenally. I mean, if you look at this play of the game, Nick playing really, really well just on that Zenyatta. But wow, just absolutely phenomenal gameplay altogether from both teams tonight. Well played to both of them.
It was really a back and forth, and it really could have been anyone's game. I almost did expect Five Nights to really pull it out from nowhere and bring us to a map 7, but ultimately Inglorious Blasters shutting that down and taking the Sunburst Cup for themselves without having to force a game 7 in what would have been a very high stress environment. So very well done for both teams, but ultimately it will be Inglorious Blasters coming out on top.
Yes, absolutely amazing from them. And there was just a little comment that was posted in the chat that was said, "This is my last tourney that way." It was for me, and I think that was that was for Nick. Okay, so this is Nick's last tourney, so you know, that shame. Very, very well played to him. Just incredible gameplay. I mean, a lot of people thought Five Nights at Freddy's were going to be able to do it, but Inglorious Blasters just, their cohesion, the way that they play, just the individual plays, their team plays, phenomenal gameplay.
Sure, getting back from that winner's semis match where they went down 3-0 and ultimately brought this to a game 6. We saw Five Nights go up 1-0 in a very close match, and Inglorious Blasters knew that this wasn't how they wanted to go out. They wanted to keep it competitive. They won the next 2 in a row in also very close fashions, but Five Nights tried to do what they could. Ultimately, it was Inglorious Blasters coming out on top and winning the Sunburst Cup. And now I think we have to discuss what we decide here, because we have to decide a player of the match from Inglorious Blasters, and I'm a little it's a huge toss-up because there's really
too many
it could have been anyone. You could pick anyone on Inglorious Blasters, and I think you could make a good argument for them.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, every single player did what they needed to do. They played their hearts out. You could see both teams just threw everything into this game. However, myself personally, my player of the match was on Diablo. He was able to get so many picks. He was able to just do so much for the team. Really, really getting it done, basically. Just going on the flank, doing things that they weren't expecting, getting out those ults. I think, yeah, Diablo is definitely my player of this match.
Ultimately, it was a toss-up for me because you saw the One King, you saw Zwoom, even Atsu, when they needed it, was able to come in clutch. Even Apri. Again, like I said, you can make an argument for any single 100%. One of these players, but I ultimately have to agree with you. For me, it's Diablo. They proved that they were a force to be reckoned with, whether they were going on flick on that Tracer or when they were sniping, as we saw on Circuit Royale with that Widow. A force to be reckoned with, and I think I have to agree with you ultimately that Diablo is the player of the match here.
Yeah, so very, very well played to Diablo, but again, very, very well played to both teams, and well played to everybody who took part in the Sunburst Cup. I hope all of the teams who took part enjoyed it, and it was just a fantastic 2 weekends of Overwatch fun.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute blast to be a part of. I couldn't be more thankful to everyone at Competitive Overwatch South Africa for allowing me to, experience this a little bit. It's been very surprising. I just love being a part of it. And I believe we're not done yet. We're giving all this sappy stuff, but we're not done yet, though. I believe we will get an interview, if I'm not mistaken. No. Okay, never mind. We're figuring this out in real time. Don't worry. We'll see what ultimately happens. But again, an absolute blast. I wanted to get involved in the international scene for Overwatch for a while, and to actually have the opportunity, it's just been fantastic. Everyone that's been a part of the production for Competitive Overwatch South Africa has been so kind, so welcoming, and to be a part of this community, I couldn't be more thankful.
Yeah, it's been an absolute blast. I mean, just being a part of the in and outs of anything to do with competitive Overwatch is just always been super, super fun. And so, yeah, as I said, I'm going to repeat myself. But I really hope that everybody did have a good time. And yeah, we look forward to many different cups in the future.
Without a doubt. I mean, if this is any indicator of how good these cups could be, I'm excited to cast more in the future. We are getting word from production. All right, I am getting word from production that we will potentially get an interview from Diablo. So we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we will have that interview with Diablo from the Inglorious Blasters. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Competitive Overwatch South Africa, the Sunburst Cup. We just saw an electric grand finals here. Inglorious Blasters taking the win over Five Nights at Freddy's, sort of crawling through the losers bracket, losing to them in the winners semis, but ultimately coming out on top in the grand finals. And because of that, we have a very special guest with us, a member from the Inglorious Blasters. Everyone, please welcome Diablo. Auntie, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I mean, we had the pleasure of being able to commentate such a fantastic match, a very neck and neck close match between you guys, the Inglorious Blasters, and Five Nights at Freddy's. I have to ask, how are you guys feeling after that match?
Honestly, after such a rocky tournament, and like obviously with us coming in like kind of out of nowhere, we're all kind of elated about the fact that we won this. So it was definitely very, very challenging throughout the entire tournament. And being able to come back on top of Five Nights at Freddy after losing against them in the previous tournament as well in the end was is definitely a massive thing for us.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys have a very interesting history with Five Nights. I mean, some of your guys were formerly on Five Nights. Some of their guys were formerly on Inglorious. I got to see a bit of that, and just to hear the history of like tournaments and how those went. I mean, insane to say the least.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it was a very fun tournament at the end of the day. Like, I think we all had a really good time playing this way, and especially against Finance as well. It was very good, very nice, like sportsmanship throughout the game. Obviously, I just want to say one thing as well. Hearing that it's Nick's last 20 here in COWZA, it's obviously a shame to see such a name leave. He's been here a long time, so kind of sad to see that. But it was a very fun thing against him for the last time, at least.
Yeah, I mean, Nick was. They were a very, very powerful threat to you guys, especially in this final match, and to see it go out like that. I mean, I would have asked for anything better, just how close that match was, how competitive it was. But yeah, I have to agree. Very somber moment for everyone here. I do want to ask some particulars about the match. I know there were a lot of decisions regarding different sort of compositions, different sort of how you guys played throughout the sets, and you guys, it seemed like each of you had a moment to shine in each map. Atsu, when say you got off the Widow, was able to get those snipes in. Obviously, you were able to get those picks on Widow and get the even those flank picks with Tracer, Zwoom. I mean, obviously, absolute game wrecker on that tank, and then Apri and the One King just able to wreck house on those respectfully. I just want to ask, how close? Well, I guess I want to ask more the chemistry. How do you guys feel when one of your guys is able to get that moment to shine in? Like it seemed like you were all able to eat, so to speak, on that. So I guess how does your team feel regarding like those individual moments?
Right. So for us as a team, we all kind of understand one another in the sense that we all have our strengths, and we generally try to keep ourselves on those sort of strong on our strong foot. And because we understand which heroes and stuff are the heroes of our best, and how we will synergize with those heroes, we can kind of play along that whenever it comes to those sort of clutch moments. And also because of like obviously using the voice chat and stuff, generally speaking, a lot of the times the person would obviously communicate that they're going to go and do something or whatever, and then we would obviously try our best to support one another when it comes to those situations. But yeah, it's mostly just like being able to know and understand when someone's going to go in and do something, and we do that. But yeah, I'm obviously very proud of the fact that we have a very strong team.
Absolutely. Kay, do you have any questions for Auntie here?
Well, I mean, you guys got thrown a lot of different comps, and I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys are used to the Stalker Doomfist. So I just wanted to ask, like, how, like, I saw Zwoom pick up quite a few different tanks. I mean, like, with regards to your communication around a specific Doomfist player, you guys, there was only one map. It was obviously the push map where the Doom really seemed to get some value. On all of the other maps, you seem to negate it completely. So I just wanted to kind of pick your brains a little bit about how you and your team kind of navigate the playing against a Doomfist.
Yeah, so for the most part, it was really just like, okay, well, it's a very tough comp to go against. And it was just more so about, okay, what's going on, what are they doing, and how can we get on top of that? Like, how can we just kind of counter them, not by really doing hero swaps or anything, because generally speaking, we were pretty much on the same sort of heroes throughout, with a few swaps here and there, of course. But it was more so just like, okay, are they leaving gaps for us to try and get on top of? And when we kind of identified those gaps that they were leaving open, we would swiftly get on top of that and just try and clean up as quickly as possible. And we would have full trust as well. Like, we would try our best to, like, as soon as someone would just say, this is a gap, obviously not in those words, but we would try our best to fill up as quickly as possible.
Okay, that's awesome. And I mean, you could see it in the gameplay. You could see just how amazing the team is actually able to play against that to actually negate that Doomfist damage.
Yeah.
So very, very well played to you and your team for being able to actually just come together and just honestly win the tournament. Well done.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. I'm very proud of my team. They played super well, and I'm so stoked that we won.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't want to hold you much longer. I'm sure you want to celebrate with your team. I do have one last question. Is there anyone you want to shout out? Anything you want to say as we close out here for the Sunburst Cup?
Anyone I want to shout out?
Just anything you want to say? Any shout outs? Anything like that?
Shout out to your mom.
You know, I'm gonna shout out to my girlfriend. She's always been supporting me throughout the whole time that I've ever been playing Overwatch. So it was a massive support from her. Obviously, I would not have gotten anywhere near as where I am at the moment if it weren't for her.
Oh, that's sweet.
Very sweet. Well, yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. I'll let you go celebrate with your team. So, obviously, congratulations on winning the Sunburst Cup, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for casting as well.
You too.
Yeah, of course. You have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. With that, I believe that is going to be it for the Sunburst Cup. Obviously, from everyone here at Competitive Overwatch South Africa, I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. This has been an absolute blast to be a part of. And shout out to all the production. Shout out to the Peach ZA for being our production observer here. They've been sort of the linchpin to this entire thing. I believe their Twitter at the Peach ZA. If you want to go support them, absolutely do. Obviously, we're here on Twitch and YouTube. I believe username is just ZA Overwatch. Obviously, myself, just some guy OW on Twitter and Twitch. KK, we have at KLZ _, and from everyone here at Competitive Overwatch South Africa, we just want to say again, thank you all so much. It's been an absolute blast. I don't want to keep repeating myself like a broken record. So, Kay, do you have any final remarks here?
No, just stay tuned for more things happening at Competitive Overwatch today, and I hope everybody has a fantastic night further.
And with that, we will close it out.